The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise had been quiet for a long time, but with the recent updates, Pirates of the Caribbean 6 has started being seriously discussed again. For years, this movie kept coming up with the question, is it happening or not? But now the picture seems a little clearer. Producer Jerry Bruckheimer has made it clear that the project is still in development. Script work is continuing, and Disney has not completely abandoned this franchise. The most important detail here is this. There isn't just one rumor surrounding Pirates of the Caribbean 6. There are several different possibilities being discussed at the same time. On one side, there is the possibility of Johnny Depp returning as Jack Sparrow. On the other side, Margot Robbie is still said to be connected to this universe. On top of that, the rumor about Jack Sparrow's son has been added, and things have become even more confusing among fans. On the Johnny Depp side, things look much more positive than before. Jerry Bruckheimer said he has spoken with Depp about a new Pirates movie, and that he believes Depp could return if the role is written properly. This doesn't mean Johnny Depp is definitely returning, but for the first time in a long while, it shows that the door is genuinely open. The important thing to pay attention to here is that Depp's return depends entirely on the script. In other words, Disney doesn't seem to want to bring Jack Sparrow back just for nostalgia. If Jack returns, he needs to have a truly meaningful place in the story. I think that would be the right decision, because if Jack Sparrow only appears as a small cameo, fans may not be satisfied with that. One of the most talked about rumors recently has been the claim that Jack Sparrow's son could appear in the new movie. Some sources have suggested that Disney wants to continue the franchise through a new generation character, and that this character could be Jack's son. This idea sounds interesting because it could preserve the Jack Sparrow legacy, while also giving the franchise a new main character. But this rumor has not been fully confirmed. In fact, when Bruckheimer was asked about these claims, he did not clearly confirm the idea that Jack Sparrow's son would be at the center of the story. So for now, we should treat this not as confirmed information, but more as a strong insider rumor. Still, the idea that Disney is looking for new generation characters makes a lot of sense to me. The Margot Robbie situation is just as interesting as the Johnny Depp situation. If you remember, there was once talk of Margot Robbie leading a separate female-focused Pirates movie, and then Robbie said that project had been shelved. But later, Bruckheimer stated that Robbie was still connected to the franchise. That shows the project is not completely dead. The biggest question right now is this. Will Margot Robbie appear in a separate spin-off movie, or will she be included in the main story of Pirates of the Caribbean 6? In my opinion, the smartest path for Disney might be to slowly introduce Robbie into the main franchise, instead of starting her off in a completely separate film. Because the strongest part of the Pirates brand is still the Jack Sparrow legacy and the feeling of the classic universe. That's why the possibility of Pirates 6 being a soft reboot rather than a full reboot is getting stronger. In other words, the old movies won't be completely erased, but the story will move forward with new characters. In that kind of structure, Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, or other familiar characters could return, but the movie may not be built entirely around them. There are also interesting comments from Orlando Bloom's side. Bloom said he was open to the idea of the old crew coming back together. That keeps the possibility of Will Turner's return alive. Especially when you consider the Davy Jones tease at the end of the 5th movie. Will Turner being involved in the story again doesn't seem impossible at all. The Davy Jones rumors are also still very strong on social media. There are theories that Bill Nighy could return and that Davy Jones could once again become the main threat. But right now, there is no strong official source supporting that. So this part still feels more like fan theory territory. I think Disney's biggest challenge here will be finding the right balance. On one side, there is a huge fan base saying, there is no Pirates without Johnny Depp. On the other side, Disney doesn't want the franchise to remain tied only to the past. They want new characters, a new story, and a new beginning. But completely leaving Jack Sparrow out would be a huge risk. When it comes to reports that have been denied or weakened, we especially need to be careful with claims like Johnny Depp is completely out. Some reports wrote this as if it were confirmed, but Bruckheimer's comments don't fully support that. The more accurate statement right now would be this. Depp's return is not confirmed, but the door is not completely closed either. In the same way, saying Margot Robbie will definitely be the main character would also be too bold right now. Robbie is still said to be connected to the franchise, but we don't know how that connection will be used. Main movie, spin-off, supporting character, or the face of a new series? That part is still unclear. There is also a constantly changing process on the script side. Names like Craig Mazin, Ted Elliott, and Jeff Nathanson have previously been connected to the project. This shows that Disney is seriously trying to find the right story. But it also explains why the movie still has not moved into production. Because in a huge franchise like Pirates of the Caribbean, the script means everything. This movie cannot survive only on ships, pirates, action, and humor. What fans want is that old adventure spirit, cursed treasures, dark ocean mythology, unforgettable villains, and Jack Sparrow's chaotic energy. If Disney can't capture that, the movie may not have the same impact, no matter how big its budget is. The clearest official thing we know right now is that the movie is in development, and Bruckheimer is actively talking about the project. But the cast has not been announced, there is no filming date, and the release date has not been confirmed either. So, a 2026 release already seems impossible. The most realistic possibility, if the movie moves forward properly, would probably be late 2027 or sometime in 2028. My opinion is this: Disney most likely wants to lock the script completely first. Because if Johnny Depp returns, his role needs to be written very carefully. If Margot Robbie is included, her character can't just be a simple, new female pirate. And if the Jack Sparrow's son idea is used, that character can't feel like a legacy character being forced onto fans. That's why Pirates 6 is in a very exciting but very risky position right now. If done correctly, this movie could bring the franchise back to life. If Jack Sparrow's return, new generation characters, a strong ocean legend, and the adventure spirit of the old movies all come together, Disney could have a truly major comeback story on its hands. But if it is handled poorly, especially the Johnny Depp situation, the fan reaction could be very harsh. Because Pirates of the Caribbean is not just a Disney adventure franchise. For many people, it is a brand completely tied to Jack Sparrow. So what Disney needs to do with this new movie is simple. Build a new pirate adventure without ignoring the past, but also without relying only on nostalgia. Honestly, the thing I want to see most is Johnny Depp returning as Jack Sparrow. No matter how many new characters are introduced or how much money is invested in the franchise, the first name that still comes to mind when I think of Pirates of the Caribbean is Jack Sparrow. That's why, if Disney truly wants to relaunch this series, I think they need to make Jack Sparrow part of the story, rather than completely ignoring him. Of course, everything doesn't have to revolve around him, but it's important to acknowledge that Jack Sparrow is a huge part of the soul of this universe. On the other hand, I'm also very open to the idea of Margot Robbie joining this world. Margot Robbie is already one of the most successful and charismatic actresses of recent years, and in my opinion, she would fit perfectly into a pirate adventure film. However, what I don't want to see is the franchise becoming completely focused on a single character. Because what made Pirates of the Caribbean special was never just Jack Sparrow. There was Will Turner, Elizabeth Swann, Barbossa, Davy Jones, Blackbeard, and many others. The story was always shaped by multiple important characters, which made the world feel much more alive. That's why, if Disney is planning to start a new era for the franchise, I would still prefer to see a large ensemble cast. Margot Robbie could be one of the major characters, and she could even be one of the central figures of the film, but the entire story shouldn't revolve solely around her. We should see different pirates, different motivations, different alliances, and different conflicts. Because in my opinion, what made Pirates of the Caribbean truly special wasn't a single hero, it was a collection of fascinating characters coming together within the same adventure. If Disney can preserve that spirit, then whether Jack Sparrow returns or not, they could still create a truly great Pirates movie. What do you think? Does Johnny Depp absolutely need to return as Jack Sparrow, or should Pirates of the Caribbean now take a different path with new characters? Does the idea of Jack Sparrow's son sound exciting to you? Would Margot Robbie fit into this universe, or would you rather see the continuation of older stories involving Davy Jones and Will Turner? Make sure to write your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. I'll see you again with new updates, and take care.